is a $100 million company with on stage Mr. Deepankar Tiwari, Head Vehicle Solutions APAC for Uber. There he is. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. He's been with Uber India since May 2017. Prior to his current role, he spent 22 years with the Tata Group, the last role being Vice President, Public Policy and Business Development, Tata Sons. Mr. Deepankar Tiwari has a keen interest in the auto world and follows the Formula One circuit closely. A warm welcome once again, sir. I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Diego Graffi, CEO and MD, Piaggio Vehicles Private Limited. Let's welcome him on stage with a round of applause. He's got over 2 decades of experience in the automotive industry, and having associated with the Piaggio Group since 2005, he's been appointed as the CEO and MD for Piaggio in India in June 2017. Prior to this, he was heading the production and purchase division of the 2- and 3-wheeler businesses in Italy and Southeast Asia, and in his role as CEO and MD in India, he's now responsible for developing and executing the strategy to bolster growth for the 2-wheeler and commercial vehicle business. A warm welcome to you, sir. And now I'm going to invite Mr. Nikhil Bansal, Industry Head Auto, Google India. Let's welcome him on stage with a big round of applause. Mr. Nikhil Bansal. All right. I think the profiles are wrong. Welcome, sir. All right. With that, warm welcome to you, sir. I'm going to then go on to inviting our next speaker. We have Mr. Patrick Tessier coming back on stage, Convention Director, AADA, Australian Automotive Dealer Association. May I request you to kindly join us on stage? His experience in the automotive sector is second to none, with a wide-ranging knowledge that extends from the dealership floor to the advertising and marketing world, with a career encompassing all aspects of dealer operations, advertising, marketing and event management. The depth and breadth of Patrick's automotive expertise is unparalleled in Australia. With that, let me invite our moderator, Mr. Hormat Sorabji, Editor-in-Chief, Haymarket SEC Publishing. And he's widely regarded as India's leading automotive journalist. He's presently the editor of Autocar India magazine, India's best-selling automobile magazine by far. He began his career with the Indian Auto Journal in 1986, where he pioneered the concept of automotive journalism and road testing in India. A regular face on the Autocar Show on the Times Network. He's on the jury panel for the International Engine of the Year Awards and the World Car of the Year Awards. He's also a member of the Guild of Motoring Writers. Warm welcome, sir. And we also have another panelist, Mr. Som Kapoor, partner, Ernst & Young. Let's welcome him on stage with a big round of applause. A specialist who has been engaged with automotive C-suite for over past 2 decades. And he's widely traveled across the globe, having seen and managed in dealership operations firsthand, having led many engagements on market portfolio strategy for OEMs and dealer groups alike. Shri Som brings along with him rich insights on the business scenario and future prospects on mobility and retail, enriched with views from all lenses: rural, hyperlocal, local, Indian and global. So with that, I'm now going to hand over the proceedings to our moderator. Let's once again applaud and greet our panelists with a big hand, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, I leave it to Mr. Hormat Sorabji. Sir, please.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. And I'd like to thank FADA for asking me to moderate this very eminent panel. They've all just been introduced to you from across the sector, wide range, and I think the topic as well is pretty broad, but it's really relevant today, where every rupee counts. It's about evolving efficient dealer networks, and just to kick this off, obviously making retail more efficient. You've got the regular things, which is downsizing, having smaller showrooms, more productivity, using more digital tools, going more digital, virtual reality, enhancing more of the test drive experience in the showroom itself, also engaging with customers in a different way, maybe even looking at new revenue streams, in dealer, in the network. And in fact, we've been having some offline discussions with that prior to this, which we are going to, take forward. But I think I'd like to kick this off with Som, who's actually done some work in this regard, and I'd just like everyone to give their opening remarks. But Som, I'd like you to kick off. Really, it's I think it's been talked about making retail more efficient. It's a pretty broad kind of thing to say, but going down to the specifics, there's just a gamut of things that kind of needs to be done, and I think also the way the rapid change of not just the customer, but just the way the whole industry is evolving. I mean, also the unpredictability of it. I mean, today we've got IC engines. Will we have EVs tomorrow? Regulations are a challenge. I mean, they're another minefield which you again have to predict. You don't know which way it's going. A simple thing like GST, yes, no, that's also having a kind of, impact in the showroom. So at the end of the day, just tightening belts, being as efficient as possible, I'm sure that's the way forward. I mean, it is in any business, but I think it's more crucial now than it's ever been. So, just your thoughts on, looking ahead, like the future of retail. Obviously, efficiency is going to be more important, but what do you think really will be driving the efficiency?
Thanks, Armaz. Actually, just to my mind, what comes to my mind first is everybody sitting over here, they're very used to this whole concept of brick and mortar. Our showrooms have to be big. They have to be big brick and mortar showrooms. I think the future is slightly different. I believe we're going to move from brick and mortar to actually clicks and bricks. What we all need to get used to is to this concept of clicks and bricks going forward. You're not going to be figuring out, my sales per square feet showroom is this, hence my rent is valid or not valid, or this model is making sense to me or not making sense to me. You'd probably need to figure out how many clicks does my customer need to make on XYZ places, and how many of my bricks are actually required for that sale to go through. So that put together will be the new model of the future. If you don't start thinking of it today, you will never get there tomorrow. So you need to get to that planning stage wherein, and it has to work effectively through a customer life cycle, a CLV for a customer. We need to stop also thinking CRM. I think it's a slightly abused word in the industry to a certain extent. Maybe you need to start thinking about how do I manage a customer life cycle value over a 5-year, 7-year time frame? How do I build that journey of clicks and bricks inbuilt into this whole journey? What are the sweet spots? There are touch points which are going to become very important. How many of those sweet spots is is the new process managing? Am I able to actually figure out that those moments, there are not more than 7 to 10 moments of truth in any sales cycle to a great extent. If you can manage 4 to 5 of those 7 moments of truth.
Obviously much, much smaller than what we have in India, but in a way maybe a slightly more evolved consumer, more mature consumer in that sense. Just want to get your experience. Australia has also, I think, had its challenges. There's no manufacturing now there in the truest sense. So from a dealer side, driving efficiency, what experience, what are your experiences in the Australian market in, going forward in this digital age? Are you also witnessing, a lot more movement towards online, digital, people, not wanting to feel and touch that much more, the whole showroom experience not as important as it was earlier. So just your thoughts on that.
Look, I don't know whether Australia is greatly different to other countries in the world when it comes to the online environment, full stop. So what is the online environment? Let's put it in English. What we have now is we have 2 front doors. We have the one that they walk in on the street and the one online. And if we think about that in that term, 2 front doors, then we must really work hard at providing an engaging online experience to be able to get them to the front door we want to get them to. That's the real key, providing an engaging online experience. Now, most dealers, and I would think this would be the same here, and I don't know, but providing that engaging online experience is a mystery. How do you actually do that? And when you have, as we do in Australia, and I'm sure it's the same here, I haven't really looked, But most of the OEMs have their own platforms that we all are a part of. And now we have the ability to make those our participation on those online platforms more engaging. I call it we're in the plug-in world, where we plug in bits and pieces to make our customers' engagement experience, really good. And I think that's the key for every dealer. Certainly in Australia, we're like every country. I'm sure that we're getting better and better at it. We are providing much more engaging solutions for our customers. We understand quite clearly that most of the engagement that we get is on the thing that's in our pocket, on the handheld device. And if you're not working hard to make certain that you're providing a great experience on that device, you won't be on the menu. And I think that's the key for everybody, to be on the menu and make certain that when you get to the shopping list, you're there. So I think for all of us as dealers, that's the challenge. 2 front doors.
But is that more efficient then, or is that, to be honest, does that increase costs? Because, it said that you might be going digital, but that may not be, it might be more efficient in a way of, engaging with customers. But in terms of cost, do you see costs going up as a result of the 2 front doors?
Online cost is going up full stop, and I'll be interested to hear from our Google friend shortly, but that is, the cost to be online has become a major expense for a dealership. But the truth is, if we're not there, if we're not investing in that, then we're not going to get other people through that other front door. That's just not going to happen.
I'd like to turn to Amit. You're representing the network over here. 2 front doors, as Patrick said. Do you see that happening as well? Do you think that's the way it's going to be? There's going to be, 2 distinct sets of customers, those that walk into the showroom and those who are shopping online. Are you seeing them kind of, gravitating more towards digital? And again, I just want to stick with the topic of the panel today, which is efficiency. Is this more efficient, or is it in a way sometimes increasing your costs?
Right, thanks. No, I'd like to echo what Patrick said. I think that clicks and bricks is the way forward. You will have customers using both the internet and then walking into our showroom. So there will be a combination of virtual and brick and mortar. It's a fact that customers research their product today before walking into the showroom. 70% have done really good research, and they sometimes know more than the sales consultant about the product when they walk in. So it's important to give them a holistic experience. It's important that the CRM enables this transition from the click to the brick, and that experience is holistic. So we see, efficiencies coming in from a holistic approach to selling going forward. We feel that the dealerships of the future will be smarter, smaller, and slimmer. When I say smarter, what we mean is that the physical showroom space will be complemented by digital virtual experiences. So you don't necessarily need to line up all your models in the showroom. You could, have the latest launch there, and you could have a kiosk, or you could have VR, which enables you to look at the different models or experience the accessories or customize your car or to look at the different colors. So this would save on valuable retail space. Also, when we say smarter, we feel that the human interface is very important. The human experience when the customer walks in is very important. So I think, we need to reskill our current sales consultants in a manner that, they're more of advisors instead of, push selling the product. So think Apple, think, the experience that you get when you walk into an Apple store, where, it's more of an experience center than really, selling experience. So smarter, smaller, in the sense, I think that the metrics that we look at is retail per square feet. That's what most, most retail outlets look at. But I think for auto dealerships, we ignore that fact. Even on the workshop side, I wouldn't want to ignore that because we're talking about dealerships. So even on the workshop side, I believe that the workshops will be smaller going forward. They may be more distributed, so there may be smaller workshops closer to the customer. We have higher productivity possible today due to efficient processes, due to mechanization. So there's no need to have large workshops within the city as such. Finally, slimmer. When I say slimmer, 40% of our staff is back office staff, at least in India. So that's a lot of back office staff that we have. I'm not sure, if you want to be efficient, that is the way forward. So we probably want to look at that. Some examples from the USA are that, there's a dealership in the US which employs 50 people and sells 500 vehicles. I mean, that would be a dream come true in India. So that's the way that we see it. Smarter, smaller, and slimmer going forward.
So jobs in the automotive retail space are not a great place to make a career, but we'll come to that in a bit, because obviously it is a sensitive subject. Workforce, slimming everywhere as we go more digital. I think that is inevitable. But I'd like to toss it to you, Diego. And just your experience, because it's quite interesting. You've got the two-wheeler side and you've got the commercial side. How is it any different, or is it similar, or are the kind of, let's say, digitization a different pace? Obviously, they probably would be on the two-wheeler side. And again, efficiencies, and are there any efficiencies to be had, even in the back end of, both divisions?
Well, okay. Good evening to everybody from my side. So, you divide the answer in two parts. First of all, definitely, we are player in both space, three-wheeler and two-wheeler, and definitely are two completely different planet from business point of view, business perspective point of view. Definitely in terms of dealer and dealer engagement, there are some, let me say, point of contacts and point of commonalities. So much that we are trying to make, cross experience between the two business, and try to, for example, you are mentioning digital. Digital definitely is something that, in perspective, can help us, dealer and customer community, to be more connected and share experience. Also, because now everything is available online, and with the evolution of technology that is planned, with Bara 6 coming to place, with electric vehicle coming into place, so means that will be a lot of, is really a revolution, a breakthrough in terms of technology applied to a vehicle. And the big advantage, how it is big investment, and also impactful in terms of cost, but in mid-long term give a possibility to create a big connection between customer, OEM, and dealer fraternity, dealer community, because information can float and, can be utilized for attract customer, give them a different kind of experience, or even for doing, I imagine, online diagnostic. So the customer is not anymore required to go to the workshop to have a first diagnosis. If I connected online to your vehicle, I can see what is the failure that is going on, and so I can give you right online the first feedback if you are required to come to a workshop or doing something else. So definitely this point of contact between the two business, since full electronic will be applied with Bara 6 to both the category of vehicles, will give us more space for investing in this direction. Coming to the second part of your question related to efficiency, I think that I don't know if it is provocative or not. I don't think that the matter is, or the subject is to be efficient, because if the question is efficiency equal to being profitable, anybody who is mainly a dealer that is working in this business, such complicated business, because we know that automotive is one of the most complicated business that anybody can decide to face, because it requires a lot of investment and the competition is the strongest. So if you're not efficient at all, if you're not profitable, you don't survive more than 6 months. considering also the huge pressure that we personally as OEM are putting on our, let me say, dealer to improve their performance and profitability every day. So I think that the next challenge is not to be only efficient, but to be leaner and to be creative. So this is the big challenge that I foresee in the next period. So leaner means try to streamline all the processes within the workshop, within the outlet, to identify all possible source of wastes and eliminate them right from the beginning. Creative means also with the world that is opening up, with the new technology upcoming in this business, I think that there are also additional source of earning and profitability for any dealer. Because if you're talking, for example, electric EV coming into phase quite soon, we are thinking as Piaggio to apply a model that is a battery swap. Battery swap, if dealer install a battery swapping station at his outlet, has also a possibility to earn money for whenever customer is going for making a battery swap. So I think that this is the challenge that we foresee for the industry and the entire, let me say, community, the entire ecosystem. So to surpass the concept of efficiency and invest on being leaner on one side and creative on the other side.
Right. So obviously what you're saying is that a lot of this could be driven through the workshops as well.
Definitely. I think that in perspective, mainly with Bara 6 and electric coming to place, workshop will be the key. Right. Workshop, a dealer will be really the key to, because it will, let me say, create that kind of customer connection, customer experience, and also a lot of preparation will be required, let me say, to maintain and to service the vehicle, because, let me say, definitely talking about a three-wheeler we are talking about changing from a conventional technology to full electronic applied to vehicle, and it's definitely something that requires a lot of preparation, a lot of training, but also give dealer and consequently workshop opportunity to keep customer connected to you.
Right. So from that, I'd like to toss to you, Dipankar. Diego talked about workshop efficiency, BS6 coming in, their challenges. That's really where they can drive efficiencies because costs are going to go up. You're one of the largest customers, not only for OEMs, but for dealerships as well. So I think total cost of ownership really important for you all. Workshop efficiency in a way drives that. So I just wanted your thoughts on what you expect, out of the network or the retail space in terms of, let's say when you're looking at certain models, is it just the cost of ownership which is right now the primary factor?
Okay, I think I'll just take on from what he said in terms of creativity and additional revenue stream, and then what you mentioned on total cost of ownership and so on. Look, I think what's not happened till now is the kind of engagement that the dealer networks need to have with the mobility platform like ours. I mean, it's been there in its and bits, but probably the kind of deep engagement that needs to be there has not happened. Which is, I think, one of the ways which one would like to look forward to. And in our case, I mean, this massive fleet that we have, it needs to be on road. It needs to be constantly be efficiently run, and it needs all the support system across the geographies for it to function. So clearly what we do expect, and we clearly see a additional kind of a revenue stream coming from this vast dealer network by way of engaging with them on multiple levels, whether it's sourcing of drivers, whether it's training of drivers, whether it's our cars coming to workshops and, quick turnaround and maintaining the costs at the lower end. Also, there's a massive replacement opportunity, which now as the fleets age and obviously after 3 to 4 years, there's an opportunity to resell and bring in new vehicles. So I think what we want to do is engage with the dealerships in a far more cohesive manner. Even from a technology standpoint of view, these could be centers where we onboard our drivers, where we do all sorts of, monitoring that we do on our platform. So this vast infrastructure that's available at the dealerships, we would like to really work with them and get more deeply engaged. And I think that really opens up another level of revenue stream. And assuming the dealerships become more agile, more spread out, maybe a little smaller infrastructure, and then you add some of these activities which bring in more revenue, I think that really helps the efficiency from a financial perspective and overall. And that's the kind of support that we look forward to from our dealership network currently.
Right. So quite interesting that what you're saying is dealerships could have a completely different revenue stream which they've not had, like onboarding drivers, which is something could be a win-win, which I think I'll discuss that with Amit. But before that, Nikhil, to you, obviously everything revolves around Google. You're the one making the money. Everyone else is spending money. So...
But we're equally vested. I mean, we're equal partners in this.
Just your sense, on driving efficiencies. Is it forget about advertising in any newspaper, just put it all on Google, or is it, what do you think? I mean, obviously you think digital is probably the only way forward, or?
No. So digital definitely is not the way forward it is today. But I think it's really important to look at digital along with offline. I think they complement one another. They're not a competing force. It's not like print versus digital or digital versus TV. Is how do you bring them all together in a media mix so that you really drive the last mile of the business objective more clearly for the end goal of the customer. But I want to step back and I'm putting out a caveat for those who probably were at the ET Auto some time back, because a lot of the data points I'm going to mention are similar to what I mentioned earlier. So I see a few familiar faces and I just want to put that caveat out. If I step back, right, I mean, after this whole telecom transformation in India, I mean, 560 million people on the internet today, 400 odd million folks who are using smartphones, right? So what does this mean for you and me? I mean, if you break it up from an auto ecosystem and from a changing consumer lens, and I'm going to link it back to the question of driving efficiency, right? As an ecosystem, we're saying almost 55% of our car-related searches on Google search are coming outside of metros, right? So pretty much tier 2, tier 3 towns are all online. It was very interesting actually in the panel earlier in the day that a gentleman from, I think Ashok Leland talked about 80% of even commercial buyers today are online, which nobody would imagine so. At least I didn't till he didn't mention that, right? Because we don't track the commercial segment as much. And second, from a consumer lens, right? Of course, digital platforms have exploded in terms of reach. And that's the reason why we say we complement offline and online, because I'll draw a parallel, say YouTube, which is obviously the biggest, one of the largest YouTube video channels and the second largest search engine today in India. 100 million was the reach 3 years back, right? We had almost half of that 100 million visit the platform every day. Today that's 3x. It's almost sub 300 million on the platform, and almost everyone reaches YouTube every day. So that's the advantage of when you drop data prices by 90%, there's a huge upsurge in terms of consumption, right? And linking it back to efficiency, right? Today the changing consumer is, I mean, we bucket them in 3 forms. We call them curious, we call them demanding, and we call them impatient, right? Curious, why? Because 90% of people actually research online before they buy a car. It's a given, and that goes back to your point, is it digital only or digital not? And to the gentleman's point earlier saying that if there are 2 ways of somebody entering a dealership, I mean, we don't have that attribution in place today. I mean, if I, as Nikhil, I'm researching for your brand, and I also am a person who's probably walking in, how are you attributing the walk-in to what that person has done before? Today, I think that's a broken piece which is not stitched together. The minute that stitches together, you'll realize that at some point in time, that person has also had a digital journey, and he's actually coming offline to buy a car or a bike or whatever it may be. And that's from the curious point, right? Because people are researching. From a demanding side, today the ask, and that goes back to your point, the expectation from the person on ground at dealerships is completely changed, right? They no longer want somebody to come in and talk to them saying that, hey, buy this car, this is a discount, and be a product pusher, but really somebody who can have a 2-way discussion, and a very personalized discussion to really move that. And that's when the experience really counts at a dealership, more than having, and I remember, Nikunj, to your last year's point, you said there's 7 unproductive for every 1 productive person in a dealership, right? And that's because there's lack of empowerment, right? The minute you start empowering a person and you start really re-looking at somebody's job role to see that, okay, can I ship out? And today, to Kalsi-san's point, can I get more people to probably take test drives rather than have them at a dealership, will also drive efficiency for a dealership. And lastly, impatience, right? Today, a website is pretty much your online dealership. You need to make sure that it's highly engaging, it's fast, and it's highly contextual, because if people are online, and today, say you do a lot of BTL activities at dealers, at malls and clubs and apartments and at airports, if your person is online who's researching for you, why can't that become your BTL activity online? And that's where you start driving a lot of efficiency for yourself. So net-net, Don't wait for the customer to come to your dealership. Take your dealership to the customer, and that's how you'll drive efficiency.
And, even obviously with so many people coming online, a vast majority of them, analytics and tools. So could you touch upon that in terms of driving efficiency, using analytics and tools to kind of really home in and literally knowing the user journey? I understand you could even, see where they've gone after visiting a showroom through their phone, through their location.
I'll give you an example, and we do this a lot with OEMs. So we call it store visits, which is dealer visits in Google's parlance, right? So today, if somebody, for example, has clicked on a search ad, assuming dealers are coming online, they're advertising, a lot of, say, Maruti, for example, a lot of dealers are getting onto the hyperlocal strategy, and even OEMs for that matter, that person can be tracked when that person walks into your dealership. And that goes back to your GPS on your phone, triangulation on maps, and our lat longs, which we have in the back end. And that's when you can actually drive back to say that what has that person really done online after he's visited my dealership or prior to walking into my dealership. So yeah, there are ways and means of doing it. Right now we're putting a lot of focus behind OEMs because the infrastructures are come in place, and then we hopefully should start seeing that coming out of dealerships.
Diego, as an OEM, do you use a lot of their tools and analytics to really understand, what the customers, their sort of journey? Because quite clearly, I think even for your products, both divisions, people have done a fair bit of research before they walk in.
Obviously, yes, in the sense that talking mainly about Vespa or Aprilia, whoever is coming to our outlet knows 90% of the product already, because having been navigating online and know already the colors, know already the features, know already everything. So definitely this kind of, this render the experience of the customer when coming to the network for the dealer itself much easier, because it's starting already from a base that is already quite high and quite consolidated. Definitely then, it is only the starting point, because from the point in which customer comes inside working inside the showroom, then from that point onwards, obviously there must be tracking of what is his need, what is his expectation, what is the profile of emission that he expects taken from his vehicle. So from that onwards, also a lot of investment is required from the dealer and from us as OEM to support them in order to have the tracking of this data. And I go forward also when the customer go to the workshop, obviously. As I was saying, having electronic applied now to all vehicle give open completely wide space to us and to the dealer to know quite everything. Also, we can see online how many kilometers per day he is driving, how many stops he does during the day, because you have definitely that could help us also for developing new product or developing new features, new contents that can be more and more near in perspective to their needs and expectations. So obviously, this is opening a world that if you're not capable to take advantage of, you risk to lose a huge business opportunity.
So what you're saying is you can use the data or the deep customer insights to actually develop products accordingly?
Obviously, yes. It's experience that we have already run through in Europe, because, let me say, this transition, we have already been living in Europe some years ago, and right now we are trying to take experience of that experience also here in India to develop products that are more customized and more near to what are the typical customer needs here in India.
Right. And Amit, just touching on this subject, obviously, again, a customer who's walked in, he's sort of done a fair amount of research. Does this kind of put less pressure on you to have, more staff, or is it easier to cater to this kind of customer because he's already done the research and there's a bare minimum amount of, dealing with him to kind of close the transaction? So again, from an efficiency point of view, is this helpful?
So I think it works for and against both. So yes, he's done the research, he's walked in, so he already has a mindset, but then he's a very educated customer. And knowledge is powerful. Knowledge is power. So it's very important for us as dealers to ensure that we are constantly reskilling our manpower. But as I said, the human interface is very important. That is what determines the experience. Products are, these days products are becoming more and more undifferentiated. And it is a human interaction which is really going to, decide for the customer what works for him. So in this situation, I think that conventional skills of our sales officers are outdated. We need to hire quality retail professionals who can advise customers, maybe like auto techies, like what you have in Apple centers, who can advise customers and who can engage with them, work with them towards the right product for their needs. I think that is important.
So would the cost of manpower, in a sense, be more than
Absolutely.
to get the right?
So the cost would go up because you need to engage better people, you need to hire better people, and if you have existing people, you need to reskill them. So the cost will go up on that front, but maybe you'd need lesser people. So that's why I said it works for and against both.
Right. Patrick, Australia was similar experience?
Oh, very much, very much. I'm interested in the reskilling particularly because I believe that reskilling is it's a perpetual thing. You've got to keep doing it. You've got to keep teaching your people to look after their customers and to look after you. I'm interested in clicks and bricks. The problem with clicks and bricks is the clicks are getting as expensive as the bricks. And that's a real issue for dealers. And what I haven't heard when you talk about clicks is how many clicks does it take and the cost involved to create an opportunity? Because that's what we're in the business of taking care of, or creating more opportunities. And organic growth is something that we don't talk about a lot. And there's a lot of opportunity out there. I'm very interested in the YouTube thing because you can do a lot on YouTube without having to pay a lot for production, or you can be very creative. And surely the answer for every business, not just dealers, is creating engaging content that gets shared. It's not exclusive to any industry. In actual fact, in our industry, probably more so than every other industry, producing engaging content actually delivers real inquiry. And you can do that organically very, very well. But I'll give you 3 tips. The 3 things that will help your business no end. Reputation, reputation, reputation. And that is what makes the great difference to a customer who will buy from you or not buy from you, who will refer someone to you or not refer a customer to you. So if you work hard on your reputation, whether it be face-to-face or online, because we're all measured online with our reputation, you can go a long way to improving your lot in life in creating opportunity. And that's the key to it all, making certain that you create as much opportunity as you can.
That's interesting on the content piece, creating interesting content to kind of, engage customers and obviously on the reputation part, which I think that in a way is a no-brainer. That's really what determines success in this business. And Dipankar, I'd just like to, reputation, reliability, good service, critical for, cars on your platform. Would you say that is actually paramount right now above everything else?
It is, actually. It is extremely important because, for a driver partner that we have and the kind of liability that he takes by owning an asset, obviously he needs to ensure that the vehicle is running and the whole thing is run very efficiently. So the dealer network and the reputation and the whole of that package which comes along, I'll give you an example. In the vehicles which are on our platform, not more than 10 to 15% actually go back to dealership workshops for their service needs over a period of time. But why? Somewhere there is this whole, kind of perception that maybe things are more expensive, maybe they're not going to be really taken care of, and so on and so forth. So I think the network, dealers really need to build on this, the whole reputation piece, which he said, reputation. We completely go by that. And it becomes even more important for us, where the vehicle is actually the source of income for the driver partner. And he looks at it from end to end, the whole from a buying point to the point when the car is disposed of. The whole cycle of ownership and how he's dealt, and that whole piece is extremely important to him.
So I'd like to turn to you. You've heard all the panelists, and some have stated the obvious. Obviously, reputation is important. Things are going digital, clicks and bricks, what you said. But, let's take a horizon of about 5 to 10 years. very difficult to predict, especially in this age. I mean, this auto industry seeing unprecedented change, never seen in the history of the car, which is, since 1885. We really don't know what technology is going to win. Everyone's betting big on EV. Hybrids are out there. Diesels are not going away, which makes it very complicated, of course, from the OEM side, but then that also filters down to the dealer side. And then in this market where, there's just no growth, discounts are rampant, margins are absolutely squeezed, this kind of increased costs because you've got to cater to multiple technologies, multiple powertrains. So really a tough time in a way to kind of drive efficiency when in a way this is a really quite an inefficient time to be in this business because you have to place your bets on multiple sides. So where do you think we'll have a breakthrough? Or everyone's talking about EVs. Personally, I'm quite skeptical because with EVs, frankly, costs will come down, things will be very simplified. Things will be more modular. There'll be maybe even less touch and feel. It might even be more commoditized, like phones and stuff like that. But that's still a long way off. But there's a lot of pain in the interim getting there. So just your thoughts, just next 5-year horizon. I mean, they have to drive efficiencies to survive, but it's not easy.
Well, looking at a 5-year time frame from now, I'm just going to go back and say, the more the things change, the more they stay the same. So I think the dealers are here to stay. There are conversations that we hear that there'll be plenty of dealers who will have to go away. The business models will change. Yes, they will. But the dealer has a very, very important. He's going to be a very big participant in this ecosystem going forward.
But I just want to butt in there. The dealers are here to stay. But is the retail business a cool business now for the new generation? A lot of them don't want to get into it as well. So, I know we're digressing a bit and just talking of the future of retail, not just the efficiency. So, I mean, yes, they are here to stay, but a lot of them have shut down because, they've been unproductive. It's been unprofitable rather. So, I mean, it's not easy. Of course, they will be there. I mean, there will be consolidation like there always is. But it's a very challenging time right now. And, I think driving efficiencies and productivity and profitability is absolutely paramount. Yeah.
Well, we're talking of driving efficiency, profitability in the last couple of years. But if you look at it at a horizon of the last 10 years of what the growth they've seen, etc., they've all seen profitable years till maybe, the last 2 years or so. As far as the next generation is concerned, your question was, will the next generation come into this business? I was actually having a very interesting conversation with one of the dealers here, whose daughter is back from the US and she's looking at options of boarding. So she's like, she wants to work with an EY rather than work in my own dealership, even though you don't pay her enough and she'll make a lot more money here. But I said, have you given her the right opportunity, skill set to work at your dealership? If you expect her to just come into your dealer and chase the month-end number only, maybe that's where she's having the difficulty in life. Have you given her the opportunity to go and work with Nikhil and say, increase our SEO, SEM budget, go ahead and do a tie-up with Uber, go ahead and explore newer opportunities? Has she figured out newer sources of revenue she can chase with? So I think there will be, the next generation will come with that thought process. They will want to work with a newer set of players. The ecosystem will change. I mean, I was doing some work very recently. The number of companies that have got funded in automotive is actually a lot of the private equity money is coming into automotive from non-automotive players. I mean, to be very honest with you, we are in an automotive conference today. We have somebody from Google who is not typically an automotive company. Uber is not typically an automotive company. So that ecosystem, when it evolves, they will also see opportunity coming out of that ecosystem and want to work back with those people. So the coolness of working in auto retail will be back. So it won't be a non-cool business going forward.
Well, I'd like to end it on that positive note. The coolness of auto retail will be back. And obviously there are a lot of challenges, but there are a lot of opportunities. This is really a fast-changing business, a fast-evolving business. And clearly, I think it's those who really evolve, place their bets on what they see is the future in terms of trends, in terms of customers, in terms of technologies that's going to come ahead. And I think we've just got time for a couple of questions. I'd like to end this panel, but the panel part of it. But I'm taking questions. Nikunj?
Well, my question is that since morning we've been talking of leaner dealerships, smaller dealerships, digital clicks and tricks. But if you look at the new dealerships which are coming up, the new players who are coming up, 100 feet frontage, 5,000 square feet of display area, 14,000 square feet of workshop area. So where are they getting leaner? Where are they getting thinner? I mean, that's a question. I mean, if you're talking of leaner, thinner, more efficient dealerships, where is it happening? And I'm talking of today.
Maybe an OEM can answer this from your side. I mean, I think that's what everyone's asking. I mean, the key to getting more efficient and more productive is, let's not build Taj Mahals as dealerships. Let's make them simple, efficient, and...
First of all, my point is that lean does not mean small. Lean means, let me say, really measuring what is every value added of every square inch within the outlet that you can have. Don't talk about dimension, because it depends on the potential of the area in which you are opening your showroom, your outlet, what is the competition level in that. So lean does not mean small. Lean means lean, in the sense that you have to render efficient every rupee that you are investing in the business. In terms of dimension of outlet, obviously I do not want to comment about what competitors are doing. As far as Piaggio is concerned, both for commercial vehicle and for two-wheeler, since a couple of years we have gone out of the philosophy that every dealer has to be, as you are correctly mentioning, certain amount of square feet, front fascia and whatever it is. And we have validated the concept in which the dimension of the outlet and consequently also the investment and the asset the dealer is required for opening the business with us is depending on what is the potential and what is the, volume of a business that he can develop, so that he can optimize and maximize the value of investment compared to what is the business that he is going to develop. For example, in two-wheeler, we have validated a model that is called WOSP, in which, the outlet is just some, like a small room in which, you can just display one vehicle and have just one working bay to give to the customer the minimum required level of service that is compared, to the potential of the... So fully agree in the sense that the investment must be always compared to the level of business that you have to develop. So wasting money in space is something that nobody now can afford anymore.
Sure.
So yeah, I think Nikunj, to your point, the question is, do people want to get leaner? The answer is probably yes. Are they doing it today? The answer is no, to your point, right? And if you look at it globally, most auto dealerships, if you see, they're stacked one after the other outside of the city. I think it's a mindset shift which the industry needs to make. And it can't happen like, say, one OEM does it and the other one doesn't. Everybody has to come together and say that if I want to get leaner and more efficient and drive more transparency and cost efficiency for my dealership and for myself, together as an industry, we need to then lift it up and probably move it to a place which is relatively less expensive and have probably reskilling of employees and all of that. This is the thought which I had. And that's what is followed globally. There's no dealership in the center of the city, unlike India. Correct. And I think everybody has to come together. It's not going to happen, like no one person is going to take that punt and move out.
Amit, would you agree? I think you don't want to be investing in big dealerships. And again, in terms of location, what is your view on that? Does it make sense now to move further out where, it's cheaper?
Absolutely.
But then getting the customer there, is that an issue as well? I mean, you got to balance it out.
Sure, you need to balance it out. So, as I said, we need to have an omni-channel approach. So you will have small showrooms within the city. You will have mega showrooms outside the city where real estate costs permit that. You will have pop-up stores and malls to engage with customers. You may have, experience centers, test drive centers. So I think the way forward is omni-channel, where honestly the manufacturer has to show the way. The manufacturer has to drive this. But given all the, the non-viable dealerships which we've seen in the past couple of months or maybe the past year, I think it's a wake-up call for the industry, and it's the right time to, change the direction.
Patrick, is it similar in Australia? Small dealerships now in town and much larger ones outside. I mean, what's the trend, or is it just being small and it's people are you don't really need a big outlet at all now?
Look, I think there's certainly in Australia an expectation for a dealership to be
of a certain scale,
size, and have a certain amount of facilities. But I think what is quite true is that the physical address is now in line with the online address, in the sense that both are very, very important. I'm interested in Nick's comment about efficiency, because really efficiency and you perfect what you said about lean, because they're not related in a way. Efficiency really is about online, knowing how many clicks it takes to get an opportunity, where they come from. In salespeople, making certain that you're getting from them the maximum potential, or at least the national average in terms of put through. In the workshop, making certain that you've filled all the available hours that you possibly can fill. That's efficiency. That's what it's really about, running a well-disciplined business that maximises the amount of time that you have to get an income. That's efficiency. Lean is about cutting costs. The two aren't related. Actually, one works against the other, if you ask me. But Australia's no different, really, than every other jurisdiction in the world. I think one of the things that is true about OEMs, in the sense of, I listened to the Toyota fellow earlier today, and Toyota are one of the best brands in the world. They treat their dealers extraordinarily well. I won't mention other brands specifically, but an expectation of an OEM for what they want from an Australian dealer in terms of showroom exposure. Like a small brand wants a standalone showroom, that's not efficient. So those are the things that will change, I think, quite quickly over the next couple of years. There will be a levelling of expectation.
I think Nikunj also depends on the scale of the brand as well, I guess. So, any other questions? Another question there. Okay, no more questions. So I'd like to then wrap up the session. We've done it in time, so that's good. I think everyone's been pretty tired after a long day, and I believe it's been a really long day because some of you all were at the ET Auto Summit from morning. So yeah, but thank you everyone, and really quite an engaging conversation. And as I said earlier, I think this topic is a hotly discussed one and will continue to be. So let's just hope that the industry now picks up. Thank you.
Thank you. Round of applause. Let's have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for that wonderful discussion. Our eminent moderator and panelists, request you to please stay with us, gentlemen. You want to take the picture first? The photographer wants the group photograph first, and then the felicitations will follow. I'm going to request Ms. Veena Agarwal to first felicitate Mr. Amit Manaktala. Ms. Veena, you're there? Yes, there she is. Yes. All right. I'd request Ms. Veena Agarwal to felicitate Mr. Amit Manaktala. Let's have a big round of applause. Mr. Nikunj Sanghi, may I request you to join us on stage? There he is. Sir, may I request you to please felicitate Mr. Deepankar Tiwari. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Tiwari. Mr. Sabu Johnny, I'm going to request you to join us next. Thank you very much, Mr. Sanghi, for doing the honors. Mr. Sabu Johnny? Not there? Not there? I'm going to request Mr. Harshendra Kumar. Not there? Okay. Mr. Harshendra Kumar joining us on stage. Sir, may I request you to please felicitate Mr. Diego Graffi. Let's have a big round of applause for Mr. Diego Graffi. May I invite Mr. Uday Lokhande, Mr. Prem Bagga. Uday sir is coming on stage. So Mr. Uday Lokhande is joining us on stage. Mr. Bagga, I request you to please felicitate Mr. Hormat Surabji. Let's have a big round of applause. And Mr. Lokhande requests you to please felicitate Mr. Nikhil Bansal. Let's have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our moderator. Mr. Lokhande felicitating Mr. Nikhil Bansal. A big round of applause for Mr. Nikhil Bansal, please. Mr. Prashant Joshi, may I request you, sir, to kindly join us on stage? There he is. Sir, please felicitate Mr. Patrick Tessia. And I'm going to request Mr. Joshi to wait. There's one more felicitation left. Mr. Joshi, would you please felicitate Mr. Som Kapoor next? Mr. Joshi? Mr. Som Kapoor. There he is. Let's have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Som Kapoor. The photographer needs that photo opportunity with Mr. Som Kapoor. Thank you, Mr. Joshi, for doing the honors, and thank you, esteemed panelists. Thank you very much. Esteemed panelists, I thank you very much. Of course, I'm going to take it from here to your attention on the screens because I have an audio visual. So thank you to the esteemed panelists once again. Thank you very much. Let's give them a big hand. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, take a lot of privilege in displaying, actually showcasing an audio-visual. And this one is of ATS LG. I'm going to request the console to please play that.
We are ATS LG, a wholly owned subsidiary of LG Equipments Limited in Coimbatore. ATS LG is the largest manufacturer and distributor of automotive garage equipment in India. With world-class capabilities in press, weld, machining, paint and assembly processes. With its efficient production planning team, ATS LG provides the best of solutions for automotive garage needs. Being the preferred supplier by the OEM and working with the private garages complements our profile and understanding of the vehicle servicing business for over 55 years. Our partnerships with global market leaders in automotive servicing equipment complements our strengths in R&D and manufacturing. With our widespread network across India and presence in international markets, we have the reach and coverage to support our customers at every stage of the product's life cycle. ATS LG, pioneers in the garage equipment manufacturing, have been working towards a goal of sustainability and reusability of water for the vehicle washing arena. After putting in thorough efforts for over a year, ATS LG is proud to launch its fully automated water recycling system with zero discharge and limitless water recycling capability. The ATS LG WRP process starts with the collection of the wastewater from the washing base into the sump or underground tanks. This water is pumped into ATS LG's water recycling system. With the help of flocculation and coagulation process, the impurities are separated as sludge and moved into the sludge collection bags. The recycled clean water is collected into a separate tank for reusage. ATS LG's WRP is fully automated and doesn't require any manpower for chemical dosing. Less amount of sludge removed by automatic discharge to sludge bags. Sludge disposal from underground tanks has to be discharged manually on a periodical basis. WRP reproduces 100% clear and consistent water. We can't go green by wasting the blue. Conserve the blue and save the planet.
So that was ATS LG, ladies and gentlemen. Now I'm going to request Mr. Manish Raj Singhania, Secretary, FADA, to kindly join us on stage. And first, sir, before the word of thanks, I would request you to felicitate all of our partners that have helped make this event a successful one. Our sponsors. So I'd request, you want to do the vote of thanks? Okay. So I think... So before the vote of thanks, ladies and gentlemen, which is the final word to be rendered by Sir, I'm going to request him to felicitate our partners, our sponsors. So may I please invite Team Yes Bank on stage first. The event is powered by Yes Bank. May I request any members from Yes Bank to kindly join us on stage and receive the felicitation. I'd like to invite Mr. Ashish Harshraj Kale to kindly join us on stage for the felicitations of the sponsors and partners also. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our President with a big round of applause. Welcome back, sir. And Vinkesh, sir, why should you, may I request you to kindly join us on stage. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Vinkesh Gulati. And now, Yes Bank ke baad, I'd like to invite Bajaj Allianz. Anyone from Bajaj? All right, so I'll quickly go on to New India Assurance, in case you're there. Team New India Assurance, somebody walking up? Yes. Let's have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our bronze partner, New India Assurance. Thank you so much to New India Assurance for rendering all the support for this event. I'd like to invite Mahindra Insurance Brokers Limited. Anyone from Mahindra Insurance here with us? Let's have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mahindra Insurance Brokers Limited. Let's have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to the entire team of our bronze partner, Mahindra Insurance Brokers. Thank you very much, sir. I'd like to now invite Uber. So if I may request Mr. Dipankar, if he's still there, or somebody from Uber to kindly join us on stage. Team Uber, okay. I'm going to move on to our logo partner. May I invite SBI? Anyone from SBI? State Bank of India? I'm going to move on to Akzo Nobel. Akzo Nobel. Yes, there they are. Akzo Nobel. Let's have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our logo partners, Akzo Nobel. Thank you to the entire team of Akzo Nobel. I'd like to invite ATS LG. Yes, we do have team ATS LG with us. Vignesh sir, may I request you to join us on stage also? There he is. Let's have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for ATS LG. Applause has many benefits, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of health benefits. Pressure points get activated and lead to good health. So we must never feel any reluctance towards that. Now, I'd like to invite Auto G, our logo partner. Auto G. Okay, then I'm going to move on to Chola Mandalam. Yes, we have Chola Mandalam. We have Team Chola Mandalam with us. Let's welcome them on stage with a huge round of applause. I'll announce again for SPA. Let's have a big round of applause for Chola Mandalam, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, sir. May I like to now invite, ladies and gentlemen, Auto Ninja, our selfie partner. Auto Ninja. All right. Then in that case, may I check again if we have Team SBI with us? So with that, thank you very much to the esteemed dignitaries here with me. And of course, I'll hold back Mr. Manish Raj Singhania, Secretary FADA, to now render the vote of thanks. We have somebody from Team Uber, so I'm going to request our team to please felicitate. Mr. Dipankar is also there. The entire Team Uber is here. Let's give them a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Our mobility partners, Team Uber. Thank you so much to Team Uber. And with that, Mr. Manish, over to you.
So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a very long and an eventful day with FADA, auto industry leaders and other partners. I am really overwhelmed to have got the opportunity to present the vote of thanks to such an august gathering. Galaxy of speakers and industry leaders and dealers all across India. I would be failing in my duty if I do not begin my thanksgiving by thanking from the bottom of my heart on behalf of entire FADA team and dealer fraternity to our Honorable President, Mr. Rajan Vadera from SIAM, Mr. Ram Venkatramani, President ACMA, and Mr. James G. Wootman, CEO AADF, all the way from Australia. They had been very kind enough to grace the occasion, inaugural session, and their speeches and words about the auto industry has been very enlightening to us. Today we had 3 very interesting sessions after the inaugural session, and the first one was 5% PBT to thrive in auto industry, wherein very interesting panelists were there. Exhaustive ideas was discussed about the future and the foundation stone of auto retail and the basic need of 5% PBT required for an auto dealership to function in India. The eminent panelists, Mr. Anuj Khaturia, Mr. Harish Suri, Mr. Rajan Pintal, Mr. Rajat Mahajan, Rama Rao, Mr. Rajiv Chhaba, and Mr. Yadvinder Singh Guleria. I thank them all from my bottom of my heart and to give an insight of what exactly auto industry requires and how we can achieve it. The second session was on future-proofing of auto retails. We as dealers need to keep our finances healthy because of tightening government norms and GST. Need of franchisee law for a sustenance was also discussed. I thank the eminent panelists of this session, Mr. C.A. Shri Jatin Harjai, Mr. N. Raja from Toyota, Mr. Navin Philip, our own dealer friend from Popular Motors, Mr. Rakesh Badra, who was the moderator, Mr. Sai Girdhar from Yes Bank, and Mr. Satyakam Arya. Then we had an interesting video from Mr. Charlie Gilchrist from NADA, all the way from USA. And he really threw an insight on how associations help foster growth, especially in times of downturn. And he also highlighted on the coordination or partnership that FADA and NADA can have together. Then we had an interesting session by Mr. Tobin Alexander of IHS Market. He gave an interesting insight of Indian auto industry compared to its global peers. The third session we just completed, it was on evolving efficient dealer networks. It talked about harnessing tech to increase productivity and requirement of frugal infrastructure. Mr. Amit Manik Kaltara from Kolkata, Mr. Dipankar Tiwari from Uber, Mr. Diego Graffi from Piaggio, Mr. Hurmat Sorabji from Haymarket Autocar, and Nikhil Bansal from Google, Mr. Patrick Tesser from AADA, and Mr. Som Kapoor from ENY. I thank them all for their valuable insight and words on how to take the productivity, increase the productivity, and how dealer can be better, leaner, and frugal. To conclude my Thanksgiving, I really want to thank all the dealer partners who have come to this auto retail conclave from Northeast to Jammu and Kashmir to Chennai. They have taken far-off flights and attended this ARC, graced this occasion, and I hope you get to learn some things from all the discussion that we have today, and we are very pretty confident that FADA will be regularly organizing such events to understand and find a solution to dealer issues and problems. I obviously thank the hotel management here, ITC Moria, for all the cooperation extended. I know the hall went sometime very hot and sometime very chill, but it's a part of the game. Everybody enjoyed it, no problem. And not the least, very, very excellent management by our Indian Attitude team. I think one of the best events and excellently managed by them. I would require a round of applause for them. Really no hassles, no hitch, no glitch. It went all perfect. I would also like to thank all the media partners who came, covered our event, and did not free my president actually for more than half an hour because he was bogged down with TV cameras and TV channels. That was really shows how much media was present for the event, and it is well covered. I thank all our media partners for the same. I also thank our I also thank Dheeraj and team for managing the media partners and their attendance so well for the event. I thank our esteemed staff of FADA Secretariat, our CEO, Indira ma'am, and all the complete team of FADA. Without the extensive work done by them, this event wouldn't have been possible. So a humble request for you to give a very, very big round of applause for them. Lastly, a thumping round of applause to our sponsors. Without them, this event would have not been possible. I once again thank Yes Bank, Bajaj Allianz, New India Assurance, Mahindra Insurance and Brokers Limited, Uber, SBI, AkzoNobel, ATS LG, AutoG Private Limited, Cholamandalam and Auto Ninja for providing all their support for this wonderful and great event and making it a success. And in the last, I would invite all of you present here to please join us for cocktail and dinner and enjoy a fun-filled evening. Thank you.
So before that, ladies and gentlemen, can I please hold you for a... Yes, sir. Aishwarya.
And a good round of applause for Aishwarya for wonderfully handling this event. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And now it's time for the group picture. So I'm going to request first all the state chairmen, the regional directors, and the council members and executive committee members to kindly join us on stage for the group picture. May I request the state chairman, regional directors, council members and executive committee members to come for the first group picture, and then I'm going to call the rest of you. All the state chairmen, regional directors, council members, executive committee members. State Chairman, Regional Directors, Council Members, Executive Committee Members, I hope you're all there on stage. Is that done, photographer, sir? And after the picture, don't leave because I'm going to add on some more people. Please stay. Please be with us while I invite the FADA Secretariat members to come on stage now. All the FADA, Indra ma'am, FADA Secretariat, everybody join us. The entire FADA Secretariat, may I request you to kindly join the group picture, please. Wonderful. Thank you very much for that. And now, ladies and gentlemen, before we disband, we have some amazing entertainment in the house. So I'm going to request you to pay attention to the entertainment as well. Cocktail has now begun. So we've started to serve cocktails, but while you enjoy your cocktails, let me introduce you to our Delhi-based mentalist who took the world by storm after getting himself on the Guinness Book of World Records. That's right. He's an